Well, welcome back to my channel. You join me today in my basement, my workshop, my fishing storage area, because there's like 2.5 feet of snow outside and I didn't want to sit in my parka to do this video, so you'll have to bear with me. We're going to be inside today. I wanted to talk to you today about the entirety of the MORTAR range that is available for this year, with the exception of 2 sizes of this weight that are coming very, very soon. I figured with this video, I could cover the when, where, and how to fish each one of the weights in this range. And so, without further ado, let's dive right in. So first, let's talk about the inline range. You will see that there are 2 different patterns that are available in what's 3 different sizes here and what will soon be 3 available sizes in this shape. We're going to talk about this one in a moment's time, but let's first focus on the inline flat pairs. Now, these have been by popular demand. A lot of people last year were asking about when I was going to start making these, and so for this year, inlines are now available. Available in a 1.5, a 2.5, and a 3 ounce. That is a dry weight, average dry weight. When you soak these, they will most certainly take on liquid attractants, which is a huge edge, and you can see more about that in some of my YouTube shorts that I have up there. Watching as the liquids leach out of these is just fascinating, how much they can retain. So each one of these will be a little heavier after soaked, roughly ½ ounce to, with this guy, it could go up as much as a 3/4 ounce increase in mass. However, with all 3 of these, they are essentially being used in similar circumstances. With the 1.5 ounce, you are going to be using this in semi-static waters, maybe a little bit of current, but this is going to be an excellent weight when you're fishing in closer. If you're fishing within that, say, first 20, 30 yards, where you just really need that weight to help you pin to the bottom and to help redirect that hook downward, right? So it gives that fish something static, so that when it picks up the rig, the mechanics of the hook flipping over activate, but that you're not solely relying on this weight to set the hook for you, and that's going to be more so coming back to the clutch on the reel. So the 1.5 ounce is excellent for fishing in closer swims, as well as when you're even fishing for smaller fish and with lighter test curve rods. Say you're fishing 2 or 2.5 test curve rods and want to use a little bit of method or a little bit of pace, this is going to be an excellent weight for that. The 2.5 ounce, separate these a little bit, this 2.5 ounce is the perfect all-round weight, and I will fish this weight just about anywhere. You can fish it in the margins quite comfortably, absolutely, and you can also fish this up to 100 yards with ease. It does seem to be quite large. You can see in comparison to, say, my pinky finger, this is quite a large looking weight, but I can promise you that having transitioned over from leads to these mortars, it is actually a very easy transition. So the 2.5 is a great weight that, you know, a little bit of pace, a little bit of method on there, get it up to 3.5 ounces quite easily, and you can easily fish this at range with no concerns whatsoever. So a fantastic all-around weight and distance inline weight that I think will be one of my best sellers for certain. And then here we have the 3 ounce. As you can see, just in terms of size, it's got a significantly greater volume. It's a lot larger, and this is going to be an excellent weight for pinning into faster moving waters, or to be fished, let's say you're only fishing a little PVA mesh bag or something on the end of your rig. This is going to be excellent for casting extreme distances with 3.5 plus test curve rods, and I think it's going to be really optimal for those that are fishing those bigger rivers and are looking for a great alternative. Now, outside of the flat pairs that are available, I also have this TriLobe pattern. Now, this is new this year as well, and is going to be available in both a swivel as well as an inline pattern. I haven't actually made up my swivel version of this yet, but there will be 3 sizes in the range that will be very similar to the flat pairs that you just saw. So what was the design behind this? What was the reasoning behind it? Well, the big thing that I saw in this as a virtue was these fluted lines that run up, that is going to increase the hydrodynamics and the aerodynamics of this when casted. It's also going to be excellent for wrapping pastes, because with the increased surface area, it's going to give more opportunity for your method and your pastes to grip. So at the moment, there are 1.5s available, but there will soon be 2.5 and 3 ounce sizes available. And once again, both in the swivel and in the flat pair. Next, we have the Teardrop line. And the Teardrop line is perfect for those of us who want to make those distance casts to the moon, fishing with chods and helicopter setups. So you will see that there are 3 in the range: this absolute Mongo 4.5 ounce, a 3 ounce, and a 2.5 ounce. Let's put this guy aside for just a moment. Very much a specialist weight. Let's talk instead about these two. You can see the difference in size. Realistically, the only thing that's going to make these differ is, the distance that you wish to cast, but both of these are going to be excellent for your helicopter setups as well as your chod setups. When you're fishing in those siltier or weedier conditions and you're not really sure what you're going to be casting out into, maybe you're just firing singles out into the great beyond, these will be excellent so that they don't penetrate deep into the sediment and will be presenting that rig comfortably every single time. So that was the idea behind these, and obviously they have caught me a ton of fish. I've really enjoyed using the chods with these in the past year. Now, upon first glance with this big 4.5 ounce mortar, you're probably thinking to yourself, dear goodness, when am I going to use this thing, right? It's going to be 6 ounces when it's soaked. But I want you to recall that there are many, many anglers who fish with weights like these for fish species other than just carp. And I truly did think about other species when I was making this. I was thinking about beach fishermen who pursue fish along these turbulent waters, and they're oftentimes pursuing fish with 8 and 10 ounce pyramid sinkers. And so I thought, well, what if I could create something that would cast a great deal more confidently with, far better aerodynamics than a pyramidal weight that would also be eco-friendly. And so I made this not just for carp anglers that might be fishing those turbulent beaches and those faster flowing waters, but also for sturgeon and cat fishermen right here in North America. I figured some of my Quebec friends might look at these and see the value of having a weight that is, 6 ounces to help with pinning those fish, as well as holding the bait, on the bottom. And for cat fishermen too, to be able to soak this in some sort of liquid attractant, and then additionally have that ability to hold and pin at the bottom of somewhere like the Dunnville Dam. This is an absolutely fantastic weight. But for carp anglers too, I have seen carp weights in that 5-6 ounce category, and people do use them. So I wanted to have that available. I wanted to make sure that there was something for everyone in my range. So let's move on. Up next, we have the swivel flat pair range, once again available in the 3 sizes, similar to the inline of the same. And the only difference obviously being that they have the swivels. Now, what's great about these is you can still run these for chods, you can use them for your helicopters, maybe you're fishing in a bit of a flow and you don't want to have the roll, so you want to be a little bit more static. But additionally, these are going to be fantastic for when you're running your weight clips. So let's say you want to, if you need to drop, I don't promote the idea of dropping a weight, but if you need to drop weights, you have those. Or additionally, you can use these tadpole beads, is what they're called. They're fantastic. They allow you to turn a sort of running style weight into a semi-fixed. So it allows you to have a little bit of tension there, and then it turns into a running rig. I used these a great deal last year. Absolutely loved them when I only had swivels available in the mortar range. So a little connection like that, you can put a little shrink tubing there as well, and then that just sits like so and allows you to have an inline presentation that then turns into a running system. So pretty cool, a little extra hardware to pick up, but you can definitely fish them in such a way as well. And just like with the inline mortar flat pairs, you have the 3 different sizes in the range, and each one's going to come into its place based on current, based on the distance that you're looking to fish. Once again, short range, mid-range long, and dedicated long. Now at first glance, this just looks like a traditional swivel flat pair, but you'll notice the channel running through here, and you will notice that there's a bored hole in the bottom right here. And I bet you're wondering, well, why on earth has this been designed the way that it has? Well, allow me to show you, and for that, we're gonna have to bring the camera back up. So to start off with, I wanna mention that this weight system that I'm about to show you is not an original concept, but rather I have been inspired by companies like Pole Position and Corda with their cog-led system to create something that utilizes the best of both worlds. The hooking mechanics that an inline can provide, as well as the bite indication, as well as a little bit of peace of mind that a running rig can provide. So first, let me start off with sort of taking you back to last year when I was running my mortar line exclusively. Now, I love this because once again, you stick your swivel in here and it acts like a inline presentation where you have that shock or that bolt effect, but then it can turn into a running rig very quickly just by simply a good couple of head shakes and it will pop away. Now, what I noted was that I was getting done in a couple of times, and I hypothesized what was happening, because that's all we do when we just sit here on the bank, you know, we get done in a few times, we get inside our own heads. I was noting that you could get a fair bit of movement here where a fish might be able to determine something was up, right? Because there's all of this movement here, right? Plus what's ever in the rig end as well, right? They had an opportunity to feel out that something wasn't right, to snuff out something wasn't right. So even though I did get a number of runs with this setup, I did get a couple of those false bleep, 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 and I was like, right? And I was wondering if maybe they were feeling that weight and I was getting a little bit of movement, but then they weren't actually getting the full weight before they were able to figure out and get away with it. So that led to this. Now, and it was actually, I was fishing the forest swim, and I made mention that I was going to make up this rig system and then talk to you guys about it. And so here it is. This is my bolt to run system. It utilizes a swivel weight, the one that you saw earlier, with this channeled groove, and that is where you will put your tubing. And on top of that, you have that board hole at the bottom, a little bit of tubing around a swivel that when that fish picks it up and gives it a head shake, it turns it into a running rig. Now, what's fantastic about this is, as opposed to that tadpole bead system, this will be the hooking mechanics. It'll be instant. They'll feel the weight right away. Boom. And then after the head shake, similar to that, it just turns into a running system. This gives you optimal bite indication. You'll know that you'll always get a run because this weight will stay, you know, on the bottom while that line runs through in any direction. Doesn't really matter. Okay, but also when they get that head shake, let's just say they sit there and they're violently shaking their head back and forth. Once it hits the bottom, they're not going to have something to actually shake that hook with. It's not going to be static and like suspended in the air doing this just below their chin. This is just going to drop right to the bottom and they're done, right? And then when you pick up that weight, bam, you pick up the whole rod and presentation, it'll just slide right down. Now, these are still in the prototyping stage. I've used them. I used it with success at my fall campaign, and of course, there's been lots of suggestions about the physics behind the rig. I'm big on rig mechanics, and I'm big on the system itself as being efficient. And it's going to be in short supply this year. We're going to have some of those available as well, but not nearly in the numbers that I'm going to have available in the Inline and the rest of the swivel range. So to recap, that's the range. We have the Inlines in two different patterns, the flat pair as well as the TriLobe, and there will be more sizes available for that one soon. We've got the flat pair and the Teardrop swivel weights, and then we have our bolt to run systems, which are going to be limited supply, but they're going to come as a full kit with the tubing and the necessary hardware for you to be successful. But I just want to end off this video by saying that, I made a pledge that last year I was going to fish my mortars exclusively because not only are they my product and I wanted to prove that they were efficient, but I also wanted to make a difference. And so I'm here today to say that I have sold off the rest of my lead. That's it. It's gone. I have no more lead left in my carp fishing kit, and I am making the commitment henceforth that I will run my mortars and alternatives exclusively. so as to try and lower my eco footprint while also being able to still enjoy this sport. So I hope you enjoyed watching. If you have any questions about any of the weights in the range, please feel free to reach out and inquire and order yours today.